Call of Duty Zombies is trash. Hold on, okay, hold on. I was just trying to get your attention, okay? So before you dislike the video and start destroying me in the comments, just hear me out. Now, I like Call of Duty Zombies as much as the next guy, okay? I remember back in the day after beating World at War and seeing this fucker running at me and hearing this laugh. I shot my pants. But that was like 11 years ago, okay? Since then, we've had Black Ops 1 zombies, Black Ops 2 zombies, Exo zombies, Black Ops 3 zombies, Infinite Warfare zombies, World War 2 zombies, Black Ops 4 zombies. I can't be the only one that's just worn out on zombies. I think each developer should have their own unique game mode so they can stick out from the rest, because let's face it, it's most likely not going to be as good as Treyarch zombies. Now, I'm not saying it needs to be like Treyarch zombies for it to be good, okay? That's actually my problem. The problem is it's trying to be like Treyarch zombies. Let me explain. Okay, so in Treyarch zombies you have insta-kill, right? In Exo zombies you have hyper damage. Treyarch has the nuke, Exo Zombies has the DNA bomb. Treyarch has the max ammo, Exo Zombies has full reload. I'm not trying to be a fanboy and immediately hate on any alternative, I'm just being realistic. No other zombies is gonna surpass Treyarch in terms of popularity and maybe quality. When somebody mentions Call of Duty Zombies, they're talking about the one that has Derice and Kino der Toten, not Burger Town. The zombies has become mandatory on Call of Duty games, just like multiplayer and campaign. Oh. I wouldn't mind zombies being in every Call of Duty game if these developers tried having their own identity in their own modes instead of trying to be like Treyarch's. I really do think they didn't even want to put zombies in their games, but Activision wanted them to because more people will be interested in buying it if they see zombies. Like I said though, if they are going to keep including zombies, expand upon it because it just looks like it's trying to be like Treyarch. For example, did you know in Call of Duty Ghosts and Extinction, it was the first time we actually saw a boss fight? And that's what I'm talking about, creating something we never seen before. And why not include a zombies mode for people who can't get enough of the zombies, and a brand new mode alongside, that way everyone's happy and the game comes with more content. It's the same thing for World War 2 zombies as well. You got the Vernix 10? Okay. You also got the Toten Griff, Taschen Vo. Okay, look, this is what I'm talking about. Are you gonna remember Toten Griff? Or
Insta-kill. More shit to kill with. Eat my blade maggot sack.
exactly, that's my point. Try and make it unique. You know, that's all I'm saying. That's why I feel like Extinction was a step in the right direction. It's like Sledgehammer went, hey, can I copy your homework? And Treyarch said, yeah, just change it up so nobody notices it. It feels like they're trying to be something you're not. I mean, seriously, think about it. Treyarch Zombies is like Captain Crunch, and then the rest is like some off-brand fucking Crisp Crunch or some shit. Infinity Ward did have Spec Ops in Modern Warfare 2 and Survival in Modern Warfare 3, which was really fun. It could get really fucking batshit crazy. Come on, I can take on all of you. Is that all you got? Come on! But I think Infinity Ward finally hit the bullseye with Extinction. Now say what you want about Ghost, okay? In my opinion, I didn't really like this game. I found the campaign boring, only beat it once, and I only prestiged once in multiplayer. But I found myself coming back just for Extinction. I think Call of Duty Ghost was when the series finally started to go downhill. Like, it started to get a little sick, you know? And then it got fucking cancer. By the way, did you guys know there was a DLC to have Snoop Dogg as the announcer?
Squad member active, a brother from another mother. Homies out the joint, it's party time.
Oh, you thought I was kidding? Let's compare Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 and Ghost, shall we?
Enemy cam strike incoming. You done, fool. Tactical nuke incoming!
But fortunately, Extinction was overlooked because around this time, Zombies was at the peak of its popularity after Black Ops 2. And people just wanted more, so when they saw that Ghost didn't have it, they immediately hated it. I think it's also because Call of Duty Ghost wasn't really received too well, and as a result, Extinction was just overlooked. I mean, look at the game today. It's dead. Extinction was the cherry on the diarrhea smoothie, I guess. But why am I talking about Extinction all these years later? Well, this is a very underrated game that deserves a lot more love than it received back in the day, and it really needs to make a return in the next Call of Duty. Because like I said, Infinity Ward and Sledgehammer need new original game modes to stick out. I mean, let's just compare with Sledgehammer Zombies to Treyarch. So So that's what I'll be doing today, talking about this hidden gem in every map in it, starting with the base map, point of contact. So sit back, relax, and let's get into it. Before we go on and talk about the first map, I wanted to go over the loadouts because this is what made Extinction stand out from zombies at the time. Now in Extinction, you had the ability to change classes, ammo type, team support, strike package, and equalizers. You also notice this list here. You can upgrade all these categories using skill points, which we'll talk about later. This really makes the replay value higher because it gives the player many options on how they want to play the game. If you want to do more weapon damage and be more efficient with a gun, then choose a weapon specialist to destroy all the enemies. If you want to have more health and a higher melee damage, choose the tank. Engineer if you want to repair the drill faster, and if you want to be a team player, choose medic to revive teammates faster. But that's kinda useless now since the game's fucking dead. You can also choose which pistols to start out with, the best being the automatic one, the last one you unlock. And it's even better when you use the skill points to unlock the dual wielding. Then you can choose which ammo type to drop for you and your teammates. You got the regular peasant ammo, you got stun ammo, incendiary ammo, explosive, and armor piercing ammo. There's also one I didn't have unlocked but this random guy did. It's called Cryptid Slayer ammo and it costs 500 teeth. Oh, I didn't say what teeth was. Okay, so basically when you kill a cryptid, which is what the enemy's called, they have a random chance to drop teeth, which can be used to unlock certain advantages. It takes a long ass time to stay teeth up, so if you see somebody who has this ammo, they know what they're doing. Cryptid ammo is the best in the game because it's a combination of all the ammo types, making the game pretty easy if you have it. And team support is helping your teammates by dropping crates and power-ups. Team explosives can drop, well, explosives like bouncing betties. Feral will make you move faster and see cryptids through walls, and also regen health faster. Armor gives everyone a little bit more extra damage resistance. Team booster makes you reload, switch weapons, and melee faster. And random supplies, well, drops random supplies. Strike packages are like ultimates, they can fuck cryptids up! The IMS can detect enemies when they're nearby. Trinity Rocket is kinda like the Reaper from Modern Warfare 3. You got the Sentry Gun, which is good for defense, and then you got the Vulture that follows you around and shoots enemies. We're almost there. Equalizers are personal firepower. You got the portable turret, a grenade turret which is broken as off. The riot shield isn't really that good for hitting enemies, but it's actually really good for having it on your back so you won't get damaged from behind. But don't use it too many times because you might piss someone off.
Oh, riot shield! I'm a pussy that use riot shield!
You have a grenade launcher which is also broken. Infinity Ward really likes to get a stiffy for grenades, don't they? And finally you got the death machine, but it's not as good as Black Ops. And then relics, which are like the skulls in Halo, in which they make the game harder but give you more points. All these loadouts give you so many ways to play the game. This also forces you to play as a team, unlike in zombies, where you'll have people training in different parts of the map. Teamwork is very important in Extinction. If you want to be a lone wolf, you're fucked. You're gonna lose like Noble 6. Alright, so we pretty much covered the loadouts, now we can get into the actual game. Point of Contact is the first map and pretty much introduces you to Extinction, but it doesn't mean it's easy. You start off with this guy telling you what to do.
Intel reports the last Extinction squad to come through this town went MIA. Look at this place. It's been a bloody battleground since they were unearthed. Spectre 1, take this drill and destroy any hives on your way to the crater. Arm that nuke and haul ass back here. Let's go. Good luck, gentlemen!
And that's about it, which I don't really mind, straight to the point. And while the drill is destroying all these hives, you have to defend it from the cryptids. If it gets destroyed, the game's over. If you die, the game's over. This is what I really like about Extinction. It gives you a clear objective. The first enemy type you encounter are the scouts, which are nothing special. They're basically the appetizer for the main dishes. The first area is pretty easy, but you notice during each round you have a challenge, and the challenge is the same for everyone. If you complete them, you get a skill point. If you complete the round, you also get a skill point. Skill points are used to upgrade your loadouts, which is what we talked about earlier. The more you upgrade, the better they become. So you go from this to this, baby! If you bleed out online, you turn into a dog tag and you have to be revived by a teammate. And if you're solo, you got 3 chances before the game's over. So it's a bit more forgiving here because in zombies, if you bleed out, you have to wait until the next round. Once you clear out all the hives in the first area, a helicopter will arrive to shoot down the wall blocking you. And this is where shit kinda starts to hit the fan. This is where you meet I'm sorry. This is where you meet Alright, sorry. This is where you're gonna meet these assholes. And that's what they should be called. I mean, they shoot out their ass. Nah, but they're really called scorpions, and I hate them. They'll keep their distance and start shooting you and the helicopter with their slime. At least I hope it's slime and they're not busting one on me. It's done doing blinds, so it's just a pain. The helicopter won't be destroyed, but it'll evade, which means it's gonna wait until you clear more enemies before it starts shooting again. This is just the first wall, and there's one more shortly after in the city. And oof, damn. Once the wall is finally destroyed, you'll get some cash. Oh, and speaking of cash, it's what you use to use your abilities, and the cap is $6,000. Which I think is pretty good because it adds challenge and you need to be smart about when to spend the money. After the wall, you'll get into the city with even more hives to destroy, and at this point the game isn't really that tough yet. This is where you're going to meet two more enemy types, Seekers and Hunters. Seekers come out of this giant ass dildo and they'll explode when you shoot them, so you gotta keep your distance. Hunters are like the scouts if they took steroids. They're a bit bigger and they'll run at you constantly. Oh, and there's also one other cryptid called a leper, which only appears when you have a challenge to kill it. Once you destroy all the hives in the city, then again you gotta wait until a helicopter destroys the wall. And this is where the game starts to get pretty hard. It throws every enemy you face so far and it gets insane. I just look at this. Teamwork is so important here. If you have a teammate who's only playing with their stupid toes, then you're gonna lose, okay? So keep that in mind. Alright, so after you pass this wall, there won't be any more walls. But that doesn't mean it gets easier. It gets really difficult from here. This is where you're gonna meet the last enemy type, the Rhino. He's the toughest one out of all the enemies, and he's gonna charge at you like you got the last piece of gum. Every round up to this point is gonna have a Rhino. This is where the men are separated from the boys, and the game gives no shits about how you feel. Especially with the drill up in the barn. There's so much shit crammed in here that turret is necessary. After you destroy all the drills around here and the stupid scorpions, you'll get to the very last drill, and oof, this is where the game says, fuck you, you need to die. Especially since the drill likes to take its sweet ass time. It's the longest one. Luckily, the guy I was playing with is like a god at this, so I was pretty good. Alright, so finally, once you finish that last drill, you activate the nuke countdown, and you better haul your ass out of there! Every damn enemy comes out at once, and you have 4 minutes to go back to the start of the level and get on the helicopter before the nuke goes off, killing everything. My one issue with the running away from the nuke sequence is, well, everything is pretty intense, right? You got the music going, all the enemies are chasing you as the time keeps counting down, and then all of a sudden, you're blocked from running and you have no choice but to kill the enemies. Which kind of stopped the flow for me, and it happens a second time too, which is just kind of annoying. Imagine this, right? Remember the last mission in Halo 3 where you're on the Warthog and everything is exploding around you? Pretty badass, right? Now imagine all of a sudden you're stopped and now you're forced to pay a fucking toll. That's kind of how it went here. Now I can see why a lot of people were turned off from Extinction because as far as base maps go, this one's as basic as they come. All you're essentially doing is going from hive to hive and destroying them. And you have to remember, this was right after Black Ops 2, and the last Zombies map, Origins, was regarded as one of the best maps of all time, and there were many things to do besides just killing zombies. You can create staffs, upgrade those staffs, get these kung fu things, ride a tank, go in giant robots, so in terms of content, it was kind of a downgrade. If you didn't like this map, you were kind of screwed because it's the only one in the game unless you buy the DLC. Now granted, the same thing can be said for Black Ops 2 where Transit was the only map, and let's be honest, not a lot of people like that map. But at least you can play specific parts of the map if you wanted to keep yourself busy. And in terms of story, there really wasn't much going on here, and it wouldn't be expanded upon until the future DLCs. Overall, I wouldn't say it was a bad map, but it's lacking in content and anything really interesting to keep me from coming back to it. Which is what I think most people thought at the time, and it's a shame too because the future DLCs are miles better than this one. And once you play those, you don't really feel like coming back here. So it really isn't a very good first impression. I mean, this was an alternative to Zombies, which was already insanely popular with a big fan base, and I don't think this map in particular really delivered. It looks damn cool though. I mean, you got this post-apocalyptic city, you got this like mushroom cloud vortex thing going on in the background. It's cool. But yeah, just to put it blunt, it's just boring compared to the other maps. Which we're about to go on to the next map, Nightfall. Alright, so here we are, the first DLC map of Extinction, and I'm gonna try and summarize the rest of the maps as quick and as best as I can since we still got 4 more to go, you know, just to save some time. And just like the last map, you got a guy telling you what to do. Let's see what's on his mind.
Please, we need to get back in that snowcat and get the hell out of here. Those things, you don't understand. Let me in, I'll tell you everything.
And I gotta say, I already like this map a lot better than Point of Contact. I mean, just look at it. It's this snowy tundra and you feel so isolated from everyone, and it's as if this outbreak is happening in secret. It also gives me vibes from John Carpenter's The Thing, which is like one of my favorite movies. So that's pretty cool. I feel like there should be more snow zombie maps or something. I don't know, it seems more creepy seeing them in the middle of nowhere as opposed to like a city where you expect zombies to be at. This is also where Extinction started to expand upon the story, and you can know more about it when you find intel around the map. But it's just so much of it, and the game is just old at this point, so you just got me fucked if I'm gonna be getting all this. But anyway, here's the gist of it. So there's this lady called Dr. Samantha Cross, who's a genius and has this condition in her brain that makes it very easy to learn languages, even dead ones. And there's also this dude called Captain David Archer, who smuggled the cryptids from Colorado, which is where Point of Contact is located, after the Olden Strike, which is from the campaign. Basically, the Olden Strike breached their home. So these two studied them and realized that they weren't aliens, but they've been around Earth longer than humans and have been living deep underground. And the reason Archer hired Cross was because maybe she could decipher this thing called the obelisk, which is a 150-year-old volcanic obsidian with hieroglyphics on it. So maybe she could decipher it and learn what it says. Samantha Cross, when she realizes that the cryptids don't really attack her, she eventually frees all of them. Meanwhile, Archer was trying to make a deal to move some of the cryptids on the ship.
I need a ship and a crew that can follow my orders. We don't have time to haggle. I need your answer tonight. Why? There's been a leak. Someone on the inside. We have to assume this location has been compromised.
And almost everybody here in Nightfall died. Archer then manages to capture Samantha Cross and takes her captive somewhere. And that's basically the summary for this map. Now this map doesn't hold your hand like the last one, okay? Which is basically like a tutorial. No. Here they expect you to have played Point of Contact, because instead of the first map slowly introducing you to each enemy type as you go deeper into the map, right? They're all pretty much already in the first area. So if this is your first map, it'd be like starting up Dark Souls and immediately fighting Smug and fucking Ornstein. Oh, and by the way, there's a new enemy type introduced in this map, the Phantom. It'll teleport all over the place when you try to shoot it, and it just looks like it's trying to play a game of Black Ops 1. Alright, so the same objective goes here, destroy all the hives in the map, but there's a twist in the end. Okay, remember in the last map when you cleared an area, you had to like wait for the helicopter to destroy the wall, right? Well, instead, in this map, you got... Yeah, this is called the Breeder, and she's gonna be blocking your way until you deplete all of her health. She'll lay eggs to spawn more enemies, and she has a fucking minigun on her. But once she moves out of the way, you gotta destroy even more hives until you get in this facility, which is the hardest part of the map since enemies can come from almost anywhere. Like seriously, when you blink, you're fucked. But it's not all bad because you're also gonna be getting a new type of weapon, the Venom X. You can kind of think of it as a wonder weapon, and what's cool about it is everybody can pick it up, you know? Not only one guy can get it and everybody else is fucked. When you shoot it, it acts like a trap, and when you press the trigger again, it explodes. You can think of it like a C4. You place it down and then press the trigger again and it blows up. Alright, so once you're done here in the facility, you face the Breeder. And this is the very first boss in Call of Duty, so I guess you can say it's ahead of its time. Now, it really isn't hard at all. All she does is send enemies to you and shoots the minigun, and that's pretty much it. Just mow her down and you're done. But even though it was really easy, it was actually pretty fun, and it had a change of pace just from constantly destroying the hives. You know, I can only do that so much. And then once you defeat the Breeder, that's pretty much the end of the map. Overall, yeah, I like this map way better than the last one. Mainly because there's just so much more to do. You can collect intel if you want, there's a brand new weapon, there's lockers you can open to get a new gun if you wanted to. And I really like the setting a lot more. You know, like I said before, I just dig the snowy places. Now this should have been the map that came with the game, okay? I feel like a lot more people would have given Extinction a chance if it was. There's more content, a boss, a developed story here. This map is the embodiment of improvement. If you did like Point of Contact, you're gonna love this one. Now I think the one problem I do have with this map, it feels kind of short. Now it's really fast paced, and don't get me wrong, I like fast paced, you know, just straight into the action, no interruptions, nothing like that, right? But at the same time, it's like, okay, you finished, and now you just have to replay it over and over again until the next DLC map comes out, which is going to take 1 month. So I guess that's kind of another reason why people were turned off from Extinction, you know? Zombies is never ending. You can have hours upon hours of fun if you wanted. Whereas Extinction, it has like a set objective, and once you complete it, you know, the game's over. Which I don't really mind myself, but I would prefer if the map was at least a little bit longer to compensate for the fast pace, you know? But anyway, that's the second DLC map. Now we're going to get on to the third one, Mayday. I swear, the deeper I go into the DLC maps, the less likely it is to find an online match. Remember, I said that the game is dead, and for Christ's sakes, Black Ops 2 has more people than ghosts. I wanted to play this map with other people so I wasn't completely lost, so me and this dude spent like 30 minutes trying to find a full game, and in the meantime we just started messaging each other back and forth. So shout out to this guy for not letting me die aboard him. So this map takes place in a giant ship, and you start out on this speedboat driving towards it, which is actually pretty cool. It reminds me of something from Pirates of the Caribbean. But once you're on this ship, you gotta destroy some hives, and I should really just stop saying that. That'd be like me making a video about zombies, saying you gotta kill zombies in zombies. But this map also introduced something new that we can do in the starting area, crafting. And there's pipe bombs and sticky flares in the first area. Though I usually never get the pipe bombs because they kinda suck. I don't know, but for me it's like throwing a wet paper towel at Godzilla. But the sticky flares are actually really helpful because when you throw them, the cryptids stop attacking you and they go running towards you. There's also traps, the Tesla which shocks enemies and the Hypno trap which turns enemies into friendlies. But I prefer the Tesla trap because the AI for cryptids when they're on your side, they're pretty bad. It's like a fly trying to leave through a window. They just never do the one thing you want them to do. Also, the Venom X returns, but there's different variants of it. You can craft the Venom LX, which shoots lightning, the Venom SX, which shoots these cedar turrets, and there's one that shoots fire, the Venom FX. And it's also super easy to find the parts for the schematic you want. How it works is if you have a schematic for, let's say, sticky flares, then you'll only find those parts when you search, so you don't need to search dozens of crates to find what you want, so that's actually pretty good. Once you have what you need, just go to the menu where you upgrade your loadouts and build it. It's simple and it gives you so many ways to play through the map, and it encourages you to play multiple times to try out the different items. Alright, so before I talk about the rest of the map, let's talk about the story on it. So after beating Nightfall, you get this ending cutscene showing Dr. Cross strapped down with surgeons telling her not to move because they just put implants in her. This was after Archer took her captive on Nightfall, and the rest of the cryptids. So let's start with what's happening now. In the beginning cutscene, Archer is talking about the obelisk, saying it belongs to him and the crew, when a scorpion attacks him. Suddenly there's a bright flash and he's transported to the future with Samantha Cross sitting next to him. The future is a post-apocalyptic wasteland. He wakes up from the vision realizing they're under attack by even more cryptids. Surprise, surprise. So basically, David Archer's main objective is to find other colonies of cryptids like the one he found back in Colorado. He also believes Samantha Cross is the key to accomplish this. While Archer was reading the after-action report of Colorado, he realizes how intelligent the cryptids are. They attack with coordination and they can communicate with each other.
I studied the after-action reports from that first cryptid contact in Colorado. I sensed an intelligence beyond mere animal instinct. I saw coordination, communication, control. Something was giving the cryptids commands.
And Archer thinks that they can be used to win wars if trained, because that always ends up well. He knows the cryptids are strong enough to win against humans, so he believes if he kills whatever is commanding them, he can use them, and he thinks that the key to doing this is in Samantha's head. So Dr. Kazar, a survivor from Nightfall, interrogates Samantha and finds out too much exposure to the obelisk gave her the ability to relay commands from the cryptid's masters. Dr. Kazar is pretty freaked out by this and wants her to be killed, but Archer ain't having any of that. Samantha is able to summon cryptids and has Dr. Kazar mauled to death and summons something else that overruns the ship. So I guess she's bad now. This story is actually pretty good so far. It's got me hooked and wanting to know more. Playing the story took a bit longer than usual because now they're just going all out with it. Okay, so back to Mayday, which, by the way, the name of the actual ship you play on is called the Stormbreaker. Once you destroy the hives in the first area, you face your greatest foe, Hentai. It's this tentacle, which is only small compared to what you have to face later. This part isn't so bad, you just have to shoot it, but the only problem is you have to protect the drill from the enemies while also trying to shoot the tentacle. My strategy for this is I use the sticky flare so the cryptids are distracted and I can shoot the tentacle with ease. After this, you guessed it, hives. But man, let me tell you, there's this one hive that is insane. You'd have a better time playing Sekiro with a rolling rock. Basically, the hive is out of the map, so you send the drill on this little transporter so it can get to it. It's really tough since you can't get close to it, and if your teammates have their fingers up their ass, you better just throw in the towel at that point. My strategy for this part is using the Venom X that shoots the cedar turrets, which are turrets that shoot the enemies, and you can just spam a bunch of them. Speaking of cedars, you thought the scorpions were bad? Cedars not only shoot acid like scorpions, but they can shoot out cedar turrets that are the bane of my existence, because they will literally be everywhere. After this pain in the ass hive, there's another one right after that's also a pain. The one by this door, and my god, everything just comes at you at once. I can't tell you how many times I went down here. Too many times. But after destroying this one, you're transported to the surface, and you gotta destroy more hives, and you face the final boss, the Kraken. This is what Samantha summoned to the ship, and now you gotta kill it. But let me tell you though, it's BS. It'll slam its tentacles at you, it does a roar that slows you down, and a roar that EMPs you because, why not, So it hacked me basically. Does that mean his dad works for Microsoft? The BS part is his attack it does where it attaches its tentacles to the ship, and it emits this heat that slowly hurts you, and there is no way you know what to do on your first try. You have to go in one of the 4 corners of the boss fight or on the pile of cryptid remains in the middle, and once you defeat it, you'll win. Mayday is kind of a mixed bag for me, mainly because of the inconsistent difficulty spikes. And before you say, get good, let me explain. It starts out pretty easy, right? Then it goes back to easy. And then also, aside from the crafting, which is a great addition, there's no new gun, which sucks. And no, the different variants of the Venom X don't really count, okay? That'd be like in zombies when I pack a punch a gun and it gets a new ability, I call it a new gun. No, it's not new, it's still the same. I think the boss is okay, but I personally like the breeder better. The Kraken fight kinda drags on too long, and it has some pretty obnoxious moves. But that's my thoughts on it. I think Mayday has a higher replay value than Nightfall because of the crafting system, and it fixed my previous complaint from Nightfall where I said it felt too short. Mayday has a pretty long map, but not too long where it gets kind of overwhelming. So while it does improve in those areas, I still think I prefer Nightfall mainly due to my personal preferences. I like the setting more and how open it is, and I prefer the boss like I said. And yeah, I know I said it was too short, but I don't mind it being too short because I actually like the actual map. It's fun. And I wasn't really a fan of the setting here in Mayday. You know, me personally, I just didn't really prefer the ship setting. It just felt like I was locked in a cage. I'm not trashing on it, okay? I think it's a good map, a damn good map, but I just personally prefer Nightfall better. Anyway, onward to the fourth map, Awakening. Have you tried the exoskeleton movement system in Advanced Warfare? Yeah, sadly I have. Well, time to find a yeah, that's not happening. I'm just gonna start out by saying Awakening is the coolest looking map out of all of them. It's easy to forget you're still on Earth, but it's so deep underground it looks like an alien planet. This map takes place in a cryptid colony, and it's definitely the most immersive. I just couldn't help but looking all over the place. The main objective here is to get the Cortex, which can uncover the powers of the ancestors, which is the cryptid's masters, by the way, so that mankind can have a chance of defeating them. Well, you know the drill. You see, you get it because... Never mind. But like before, you gotta destroy the wait a minute! No, you don't destroy hives here. Actually, you need to scan the obelisks in order to reach the Ark at the end of the map, which is just so refreshing. If I had $1 for every time I said destroy hives, I'd have, well, probably a Happy Meal or something, realistically. Let's talk about the story here real quick. So David Archer and some soldiers are in this colony also trying to get to the Cortex, but they're overrun by cryptids, and Archer actually uses one of the soldiers as a human shield. What an asshole.
Betrayal.
And then Samantha Cross comes in saying his arm is poisoned. Archer doesn't believe it, but Samantha says she'll give him a hand. Well, actually no, she actually chops it off. And wants to make a deal. She'll give a tour of the Ark if Archer gives her safe passage out of the island the colony is in. Of course, Archer doesn't trust Samantha at all, and they start butting heads. Samantha explains in Nightfall she had a vision of being in the Ark, seeing the ancestors, while also seeing the end of the world, which is what they've been waiting for. They use people like Samantha to see the surface. You can think about it almost as them getting intel, and they're planning on broadcasting some sort of signal to awaken all the Arks with its ancestors. Archer's general wants her alive because she has a lot of valuable information, but I guess Archer learned his lesson from Mayday and wants her dead, so they have a little argument. Archer manages to kill one of the ancestors while it was hibernating and remove the source of its telepathic powers from its brain. With this organ, it'll help the human race fight back against the cryptids. Once Archer and his men get the Cortex, he tries to kill her, but she controls his mind and he kills his own men and shoots himself.
Betrayal. Suicide.
Oh, she hacking, bro, she hacking. Well, let me tell you, the first thing I noticed when playing was you have mad hops. Look how high you jump. What's really cool is this allows you to gain access to areas you normally wouldn't be able to get to, and it gives you a lot of ways to get to different places. It almost becomes like a platformer game if you think about it. Wait, also if you think about it, Ghost was the first Call of Duty to have this kind of advanced movement. So maybe it's the reason why we got 3 futuristic Call of Duty games? Well, like I said, the high jumping can get you to secret places like the schematics. The same ones for Mayday come back, and there's also a new one, the Venom Grenade. This probably is the best schematic on the map in my opinion, because it's pretty overpowered. There's the lightning version, the fire, and the regular one. And by the way, the Venom SX, which shoots the cedar turrets, isn't on this map, which sucks because it was my favorite one. Maybe it's because the cedar enemies aren't on this map. Thank God! Oh, fuck. Like before, I didn't use the Hypno Trap and the Pipe Bombs, but the Sticky Flares are still useful distracting enemies, and the Tesla Trap is still good for defending. But anyway, there's new enemies here. Let's start with the Mammoth. Let me tell you, this thing scared the crap out of me because I saw the schematics on the ground, and they came out of nowhere. It's really tough and will summon reinforcements which maybe run away and die. Luckily, they only appear in secret areas like these, so they're not really a problem. Also, not only do these secret areas have schematics, they also have arc attachments that buff up your guns and lockers that have custom guns inside. If you have a custom gun with an arc attachment, you're basically ascended. 2 more new enemy types are the gargoyles, and hey, not those gargoyles. They usually keep their distance and shoot you from above and only come to the ground if they're wounded. They kind of remind me of the demons from the Metro games. Then the other new one is the bomber, which will dive at you and explode at you. I'm not sure if these are enemies, but these gas plants are super annoying because they can stun you and they're literally all over the place. So you'll just be walking all over them with gas in your face. Remember that scene from SpongeBob where they have to run past the mom with the perfume? Think about it like that. But once you scan these obelisks, you have to control this vanguard in order to get through this force field. What you have to do is destroy all the obelisks, meanwhile all the enemies start shooting at you. Luckily, if the vanguard is destroyed, you can still use it again, but you just gotta wait. This segment kinda reminds me of that mission from Call of Duty 4, Death from Above. It's pretty cool, every map has a different way to progress further into the map. Though it can get kind of annoying since there are quite a few obelisks and they take a lot of shots to be destroyed. And once you're done with this, you have a lot more obelisks, and this part was pretty intense since there's so many enemies that just jump on you. And then the stupid scorpions, and this dude watching over me. Hey man, you use the vanguard again and I'll talk about that later. Once you finish this second area, you have less but bigger obelisks to scan. And not as bad as the last area, but I was blind 90% of the time because of the stupid plants. And scorpions. Then once you scan these, you go inside the Ark, which is actually really cool. This is where the ancestors are hibernating and where Archer is sitting down with the Cortex. What you gotta do here is kill cryptids so they don't damage the terminals, and then you can cause a meltdown destroying the Ark. I'll be honest, I thought Archer was dead because he was just sitting there, but no, he's alive, but he just looks like he's having some sort of like Vietnam flashback. Once you complete the meltdown, you take the Cortex and you leave Archer to die. You gotta haul ass out of there while everything is chasing you, and you need to activate the Cortex to get through the force fields. And it's pretty tough. I went down a lot actually. And then that's it. Okay, look, like I said, this is the coolest looking map out of all of them in my opinion, but it's kind of a downgrade. First, there's no boss like the last two maps, and the amount of obelisks you need to scan is just too much. Look, each obelisk takes quite a bit of time to scan completely. On top of that, you have many more to go in the next area, and then there's even more. Then once you actually finish scanning all of them, you need to destroy them with this vanguard, which has some clunky controls, and then they take way too long to destroy. So not only is there a ton of obelisks, but you need to destroy them, and then the amount of time is added because the vanguard keeps getting destroyed, so you have to wait until you can use it again. There's also not a new wonder weapon type gun, like the Venom X. There's the Venom Grenade, but that's not really a new gun. They could have at least added new variants of the Venom X, but no, there's nothing. There's also less intel in the map than the other ones as well for people who actually want to collect them. Just not much new going on here, besides the enemies. It's not a bad map, I enjoyed playing it, but I couldn't not notice the lack of content. But appearance-wise, like I said, it's the best looking one. The complaints I mentioned didn't really take me out of the experience. They just made me say, oh well, that's disappointing. But compared to the last two, not as good. On to the next and final map, Exodus. Well, here we are guys, the final map in the Extinction story, and I'm a bit disappointed it is. I really enjoyed going back to all these maps because Extinction really is awesome. But I'll save my overall thoughts for the end. I'm giving you a warning right here, right now. Do not start Extinction with this map. This is by far the hardest one. I went down a lot here, and I gotta play this by myself because, well, nobody plays this game anymore and my friends don't want to play it, so I'm left here struggling. Well, let's get the story out of the way before anything. This map picks up after Awakening, and the human race is on the brink of, and no pun intended, extinction. The cryptids have invaded almost the entire surface of the planet, and it's predicted that 80% of the Earth's surface will be overrun in 200 hours, and we've been nuking different parts of the United States as the last resort. And now, the final option for mankind is to send selected military personnel and scientists to a recently decommissioned space station which has now been turned into an orbital sanctuary, with the hope that one day the human species will reclaim Earth, which is kind of poetic in a way. Think about it. The cryptids were the original dominant species on Earth before they fled underground due to the threat of extinction. Then humans came into the scene and became the new dominant species, but now the cryptids have returned to claim what was once theirs, and now the humans are experiencing that same threat. It makes you think. Now, in order for this to be accomplished, we have to get rid of the gargoyles that are soaring over the launch facilities. If they stay up there, this plan will never work. Now, remember the Cortex we had to get in Awakening? This is the key to making those gargoyles come down. The Cortex sucks bioelectric energy, stores it, and it can be used to detonate like a neutron bomb. It can cause radiation, but it may or may not be dangerous to people. But once it does detonate, it releases a pulse that can fry a cryptid's brain within seconds. Let me tell you, the story here gets pretty dark. Every military base in North America has been destroyed, and even the president is dead. I mean, damn! And now Godfather, the general who has been giving us commands all this time, is left to command what's left of the United States. And get this is when the writing really starts to shine, and it really makes you think. So Samantha supposedly is on our side now and is helping us. Now that she's turning away from the cryptids, the ancestors are mimicking David Archer's voice, making him say how nobody can trust her and she has to die. And the ancestors are doing this because since they can't get to her and she's with us now, maybe if they get us to think she's dangerous, we'd kill her instead without the ancestors having to do any of the dirty work, which is insane and actually pretty creepy.
She's a sleeper. A double agent. Everything that's happened. Everything that's about to happen aboard your space station. It's all part of their plan. Their plan, General. Not yours.
Well, let's get on to this final map. Well, you start off destroying no? Okay. Scanning up. Still no? Okay, so you get the drill. Okay, what? For the first time, you have no drill. Instead, you gotta power up the base's power grid. So you need to power up the 6 emergency generators scattered throughout the map. So they're kinda like hives, but with no drill really. To get them, you gotta open doors around the map, and every time you open the door, a mini round starts that you need to kill cryptids. What's really cool about this map, it gives you many options on how to explore. As fun as the previous maps are, you're very limited as to how to play through them. You're given a set path, and you can only complete the map only if you go through it. But here, you can choose which doors to open. Do I open this one first, or this one? You don't even need to open all the doors to beat Exodus, but if you don't, you miss the chance to get an extra skill point since it is a mini round when you open the doors, and you also miss the schematics. So it encourages you to explore and essentially choose your own path, which is awesome. Speaking of schematics, the same ones we've always seen are here, but there's 2 new ones. The NX1 grenade, which is really fun because when you throw it, it makes the cryptids go flying all over the place. And then finally a new gun, the NX1 Disruptor. It's not as reliable as the Venom X, but it is essential for you to kill the Ancestors. Which, speaking of Ancestors, there's a new enemy on this map. Yeah, that's right. The things that command the cryptids are now what you'll be finding, and they are without a doubt the toughest enemies in Extinction, which is good because every time one would show up, I'd get worried I'd die. It'd be pretty stupid to hype them up for like 2 maps only for them to go down in like 5 hits. They got 3 moves. They can throw like these mini black holes at you, and they can make you levitate, which damages you over time. One other thing they can do is summon reinforcements like the Mammoth. They take a lot of hits to kill, and they have a force field around them that makes them invincible, which makes the NX1 Disruptor a must-have because it destroys their force field instantly. What's really good about the NX1 Disruptor, it recharges ammo. When the Ancestor gets damaged a lot, it'll try to run away, but don't let it, because then you'll miss out on those extra points, and it gives a lot of points. Once you do manage to kill one, you better step away because they do explode. And I want to tell you guys, the worst combination of enemies I have ever seen. Oh, I wish I could see them because I'm blind all the time. It's no secret I hate the Scorpions, okay? But now add Scorpions on top of Bombers, and you got a match made in hell. You will be blind most of the time, which is one complaint I have. Way too many Bombers blinding you non-stop. Exodus has every enemy you have ever faced so far, except Cedars. I never actually saw them, but I'd rather have them than the Bombers. But anyway, once you charge up all the generators, this happens.
I won't sugarcoat it. I'm getting on that rocket. You're not. You need to stay here and defend the Cortex until the weapon is fully charged. I'm sorry it came down to this. I wish there was another way, but no one else would stand a chance against the Ancestors.
Glad to see you finally picked a side, Doctor. I'll get that gate opened.
Don't bother.
Yeah, we ain't leaving here alive, since apparently we're the only ones that can kill cryptids, even though she, Hulk smashed like 10 of them. But you need to defend the Cortex while it's powering up, which is intense. I went down here quite a bit. And you have to kill an Ancestor while being mauled to death by like 100 cryptids. And he doesn't give a fuck. He just busts down the door like it's nothing.
Knock, knock, open up the door, it's real.
But once it's charged up, you detonate it, and you get this cutscene.
Watch alert, stage 3! We're not gonna make it!
History repeats itself. One species falls, another rises to take its place. Countless lives were sacrificed so that a chosen few might be saved. They believed my power could make the difference between survival and extinction. They were right.
This is a really well done cutscene because it leaves you with a lot of questions and you're left wondering what happens next. Is Earth doomed? Is Samantha really on our side? What's gonna happen to what's left of humanity? The story in Extinction doesn't hold your hand, it doesn't answer everything for you, it gives you just enough, and that's what makes a good story, I think. Too much exposition makes me feel the writers think I'm stupid and can't figure it out on my own.
Hey Scooby, those Scooby snacks sure look good.
Picking up more than one Scooby snack in a row will give you extra bonus points. Scooby.
But this ending and the story overall left me with my jaw open. I really wanted to know more. This could have been a sequel, like maybe 1 year later the humans are underground trying to survive, they can't go to the surface anymore because it's not safe, kind of like Metro, you know, that could have been pretty cool. But unfortunately these questions will never be answered because Infinity Ward ditched this for zombies. Because screw originality, am I right guys? Honestly, they should have continued with Extinction. It really was the most original and creative thing we've seen in Call of Duty up until that point. Yeah, Treyarch brought something new and refreshing to Call of Duty when they introduced zombies back at World at War, but they didn't really invent zombies. They've been in movies and video games for years, but Infinity Ward essentially created their own ecosystem with Extinction. I mean, just look at the designs. Look at this monstrosity. So what's better, zombies or Extinction? Well, that comes down to you, but I still prefer zombies, not because I didn't enjoy Extinction, but because I've been playing zombies ever since it first came out all the way back in World at War. And some of my favorite memories is just playing with my friends, seeing how high we can go in the rounds. But nostalgic reasons aside, the characters in Extinction aren't really all that interesting. The only two that get the most screen time, Samantha and David, they're just average. David is slightly more interesting because he has some cool quotes.
You see, the Aztecs had never seen a horse before. They were so mesmerized by the sight of the Spanish stallions, they hardly spared a glance at the cold-eyed killers riding on their backs. The cryptids are like those Spanish stallions, beasts of war, bred for battle, trained to obey.
But Samantha just comes across as boring to me. I don't know if it's because of the voice acting, but I just never liked her. I mean, she just randomly becomes evil and we don't even see her slowly transform. It kind of just happens.
We both know that I'm getting stronger every day. How much time do you think you have before you're on your knees, begging me to let you die?
By the way, in Extinction we have Samantha, and in Zombies we have, Samantha? Is there a connection here or what? And the people we play as, they're not even characters, they're just your multiplayer person you customize. And they only yell call-outs like the status of the drill and how they need ammo. The characters in Zombies are just more memorable and charming.
If I'm nailing anything, I should be nailing meat sacks. With bullets! Come on! Get your mind out of the gutter!
I'm gonna go on a little rant here. Like I said in the beginning of the video, each developer should have their own mode so they can stand out and we don't have an oversaturation of zombies, because look what happens. People like me get burnt out on it and we just slowly care less and less. If you don't milk zombies so much, the hype will be even more immense when it does eventually come back. Treyarch should just stick with the zombies since they're the best developers when it comes to that. Infinity Ward should have stuck with Extinction and Spec Ops, maybe Survival. And Sledgehammer, I don't know, something else that's not zombies. Overall, I loved Extinction. It was so much fun and actually very challenging at times. I'm gonna rank each map from my least to favorite. My least favorite map is Point of Contact. Like I mentioned before, it's the very basic map compared to the future ones, and it really is just an introduction to Extinction. All there is to do is destroy hives, and you can only play it so much until you get bored of it. It is a fun map, but it just has a low replay value. This is probably the worst DLC map because it didn't really introduce anything new except, well, a grenade and the Vanguard segments, which were way too frustrating and too long. And with the clunky controls, it's just nearly impossible not to be destroyed, especially on solo. I feel like it would have been better with other people since they can shoot the enemies while you destroy the obelisks, but you shouldn't be forced to play another way just to enjoy yourself. And if you have no friends to play this, you're screwed because you will not find an online game. Next is Exodus. Now objectively speaking, this map should have been higher on the list, but these are my personal favorites. And I put Exodus next because it gets really annoying being blinded all the time. Depending on how you play, it could be the shortest map in all of Extinction, but it is a good time and the most intense map if you do like a challenge. Next, I put Mayday. Now this map is probably most people's favorite, and I can see why, but I just didn't enjoy the boss fight all that much. It's just a bullet sponge even with the help of the turrets. I mean, that's really the only thing I didn't like about it. And the setting of the map, but that's just a stupid reason, honestly. It's arguably the best map in Extinction because of the crafting system and the length of it, but these are my favorites. My favorite map of all time is Nightfall. I'm a sucker for the snow maps. That's probably why I love Origins and Der Eisendrache. The map is short, but just the right amount of time where it's not underwhelming, and the boss has just the right amount of health so it doesn't drag on too long. So that's the order of maps I thought was least to greatest. What's yours? So why didn't we see Extinction after Ghosts? Well, simple really. Because it wasn't zombies. The zombies has such a huge following, and a lot of people buy Call of Duty just for zombies, so if they see the next game isn't gonna have it, they won't bother buying it. I just wish they could have at least given it a chance instead of automatically hating it because it wasn't zombies. But you know how the Call of Duty community is, right? They call the newest Call of Duty trash, then a year passes, then the next one is trash, and they end up liking the previous one. Another complaint I remember people making when Extinction was announced was aliens were too outlandish to be in a Call of Duty game, which is just a hypocritical thing to say. So aliens are too outlandish, but giant robots and motherfucking dragons isn't?
Oh, by the way, did I mention the giant robots?
I think Infinity Ward probably would have continued making Extinction, but like I said before, Activision probably made them do zombies because, well, that's where the money is. But really, Extinction does some things better than zombies. For example, right? Anybody can play a game of Extinction and know exactly what to do on their first time playing any map. But in recent zombie maps, and when I say zombie maps, I mean Treyarch zombies, things have just gotten way too complex. For most maps, if you don't look up like a 40-minute guide, you're not gonna know what the hell to do. In Extinction, the instructions are given to you clear as day. The schematics, if you want to craft, they're easy to find since they're glowing blue. And then for the parts, they're also easy to find because they glow blue. I think to fix this issue in zombies, they need to make the core fundamentals easy. What do I mean by this? I mean power and pack-a-punch. If you make those a tedious chore to do, you're gonna turn away a lot of people because those are the keys to getting to the high rounds. Then all the other stuff like building shields and Easter eggs, you can make those just there as a bonus. Listen, if you want your community to strive and grow, you need to think about who will be playing your game, and it really just comes down to two groups: the hardcore player who likes the complex stuff like Easter eggs, and a casual player like me who just wants to have a quick game of zombies with their buddies and just see how high of a round they can go. And it seems Treyarch has been neglecting the casual side since like Black Ops 3. In a map like Doris, you already know what to do on your first time playing it. It's simple and just timeless. You cannot play this map for months, come back to it, and still remember what to do. Whereas we have a map like Dead of the Night, which by the way, I love the map, but still, there are just so many things to do that are essential to get to a high round, and if you don't play this for a while, you'll forget and you have to look up a guide again. Black Ops 4 has been bringing it back to simplistic with maps like 9 and Alpha Omega, so it's a step in the right direction. Another thing Extinction does better is the story. To understand what's going on in Extinction, just collect the intel and look at the cutscenes. It's easy to understand yet interesting, right? But zombies? Good luck trying to understand this mess. Again, if you don't do all the Easter eggs and are constantly up to date with updates, you'll never understand this unless you watch an hour-long video, maybe even 4 hours. I mean, if you have the time, it's pretty interesting, but it's just so confusing even watching these videos. I mean, how many fucking Richtofen and alternate timelines are there? I know this is getting off topic, but if we want a Call of Duty to improve, we need to be more open to new things like Extinction, or else it'll just always be the same. But developers are going to be afraid to try original things because of the backlash. Extinction was really the last original thing we've gotten in the Call of Duty, with innovations like the boss fights and the crafting. Well, anyway, that was a look at Extinction, the most underrated and forgotten Call of Duty game mode. Did you guys like Extinction? Do you want it to come back, or were you really not a fan? Let me know in the comments below. If you liked the video, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll be having more videos like this on my channel. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all procrastinator.